Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're live on Facebook and we're live on our Zoom, and I'm very excited to be back with you guys. Had a couple of busy Saturdays, and grateful and excited you guys got to hear from other amazing leaders who are passionate about positive leadership and who model it every day in their life, and got the help that I needed. But you guys, this week we're on chapter 5. We are talking about positive leaders lead with optimism, positivity, and belief. And the most important characteristic of a leader is optimism by the CEO of Disney. And you guys, this chapter is rich and just so many things that just, affirmed what it is that I say. You guys are going to hear some of the things that I've lived by and that he talks about and has other, optimistic leaders talk about and share in this book, that they do the same thing. And I'm like, I always love that whenever you're in Arbonne, if you hear something that somebody who's successful is doing and you go, wait, I do that. That means you're on the right track. If you're doing what you hear other successful people doing, that you want to be successful, and it could be in parenting or marriage or friendships or business, Arbonne, your job, when you see other people doing saying what they're doing and you go, wait, I do that too. That's what I do. You're on the right track. Be excited that you are where you need to be going to get to where you want to go if you want success in that area of your life. I went to the first national training, NTC, back in the day, and I had no idea. You guys, Martha told me to go. I went because I was obedient and I was listening and coachable to my leader. And whenever she told me I had to be there, I went and I sat in all of the rooms, and I remember listening to those speakers, and I was taking notes furiously because I was doing great, but I had no idea why. I was ignorance on fire, and he talks about being a rookie in this chapter too. But I was ignorance on fire, and I remember thinking, I do that. I've been doing that. And it's like, I must be doing the right stuff. I mean, that's why this is working so well for me, because the people that are successful are saying to do what it is I'm doing. And so that is just affirmation. So if you read these books, you guys, and you hear somebody say, do something, and you go, I do that. Be proud of yourself and keep doing it and do it more, because you're on the right track and it takes work. So that's just, extra, because there's always extra whenever you get me for book club. But you guys, he says that the optimism, positivity, and belief are what drive results. And you guys, honestly, it's our gift in this business is we learn. There is nothing in my life that was teaching me to be optimistic, positive, and have belief in myself before I did Arbonne and before I joined Arbonne. I had to kind of work to get that myself. But in Arbonne, you are surrounded by it. You have people like Marva Collins in this book, who was the teacher in the inner city, and would take these kids' chin in their face and look into their eyes and say, you are brilliant. You are surrounded by people who think you are brilliant and believe in you and believe in who you were created to be, and that it was for greatness, and that there are great things planned for your life. You are surrounded by that in this Arbonne environment. And that is what is really the gift of this journey for you, for all of us, is that we get to be surrounded by people that believe in us bigger than we believe in ourselves. And because we do, we start to believe more too. And then bigger and better things start to happen. But it's positive for your life. But I also want you guys to know, as much as optimism, positivity, and belief drive results, so do the negative things. So do negative thoughts and pessimism and realism and lack of belief. Those will drive your results too. It's the success cycle that we talk about all the time. How much you believe something has the potential to change your life and improve your life is how much effort you're going to put into it. How much effort you put into it drives the results that you get. And the results that you get affect the belief that you have that it can give you either more or less potential to change your life. So positive or negative drives your results. Which direction are you driving your success cycle? You have to pay attention to it. You have to be aware of it all the time, because we can't just go through life aimlessly and without being on purpose, because you guys, you will naturally default to the direction that your brain thinks instead of making it think the way you want it to. We naturally default to negative. We've heard that over and over again in this book and in other books. And it's just like, you know, whenever you are driving down the road, you guys, and you see somebody on the side of the road, they say, don't look at that person that you're trying to make sure you don't hit, because you naturally turn into that person. I always think of that, and whenever somebody's on the side of the road and I'm like, oh my gosh, I see them from afar, but I have to make sure I'm not looking at them whenever I'm driving by them, because I'm either trying to get in the other lane and give them space and give me margin so that I don't have something happen out of my control. But I have to make sure I'm not looking at them, because you naturally go in that direction. So you guys, we have to fight our natural flow of where we would go if we just let it happen. We have to be moving it in the direction we want it to go. He says that he talked about stories of a lady that had the Women's National Basketball Association, and she had a system to build collective belief. We have a system, you guys. We say, plug in, do personal growth and development, and it will build a collective belief with everyone that's here. People that don't come here and that aren't doing this with us, they're not building a collective belief. They're just doing, you know, their own thing and naturally going in the direction that their brains are going to want to go. But she says, how do I identify believers? She identified believers and began building an optimistic belief system, showed people proof that it worked if you believed and were optimistic. And then she got them to buy in. And as people bought in, those people affected the other people on the team, and they started building this system of belief for their team and their organization. And you guys remember in our Start With Why book, he says, you only need a few early adapters, the people that believe. So that's what she did. She identified just the few that believed. Those were her early adapters that just believed because they chose to believe. Then those early adapters started showing proof and affecting the laggards and the ones that were later to come. But then they get to the tipping point, and it only takes a few to get to the tipping point where you can affect everyone so much in a positive way that things take off and become champions in whatever area you're wanting to do. We identify believers, you guys, in Arvon by activity. People that believe that this can change their life take action on it. They take action to do something with the belief that they have so that they can get the results they believe they can get. That's how you identify your believers. Other people can develop belief. I'm not saying we can't, but the people like this lady did on her team, we've got to identify those that believe now. And those that believe now are the ones that are going to help you affect the majority of your team and hit a tipping point in your business that will help you get successful at whatever level you want. So she said that some of them, she said, will be that, you know, you have to show some people. And she says for some who still don't believe, she had to help them leave, letting them know they weren't in the right place. And you guys, I mean, John Maxwell talks about how, you know, he has had conversations where he's told people in his organization they need to go find a job. In other words, he's firing them. The good news is you can't get fired in Arvon. You're an independent consultant. But I will tell you, if you choose to not believe, or you choose to not build your belief and work to be positive, you probably do need to go find a job. Because you're not going to get the results. You can do the same activity that somebody who believes is doing, and you won't get results, and they will. So you guys just know, and I'm not saying this to be mean or harsh, I'm saying this to help you make this easier. Don't make it harder than it is. Just choose to believe, because there's evidence around you. Choose to believe in the 4 things that you need to believe in: the products, the company, the industry, and yourself. That is what's going to make this journey easier and effective for you. If you don't, you're going to struggle every single day until you choose to believe. And if you don't choose to believe, then just go get a job, because you're not going to get what you need here. And I know that sounds harsh, and I am the most positive, optimistic leader, but I'm also truthful. And that's what this section talks about. It says there's multiple answers. You have to find the best one. He says it's not being Pollyanna positive. He says you must not only be positive, but you have to be effective too. You can be positive, but not effective. And it's about deciding the highest and best use of our energy. Once you decide to pay forward and execute and act, you guys, once you decide to act on your belief, then you will be able to have the results. And personal growth and development is what's going to help you build belief. Belief is what's going to help you act, and act is what's going to get you results that feed the success cycle that get you where you want to go in this business and in your life. So we have to act, and we have to work to believe. And the more you believe and then act, it just feeds it. So feed it in the right way, and don't make this harder than it is. Don't do one without the other. Don't do personal growth and development without action. Don't do personal growth and development and then sit here and tell yourself, yeah, but. Because every time we yeah, but ourselves, we tell ourselves that what we're reading in this book is true for everyone but you, and that you are making yourself a victim. You cannot do any of those things and make this work for you, because every activity you do will then give you different results. So he says the system said they couldn't learn. Oh, this is where it talks about Marva Collins. This is where, as negative as I may have just sounded, I am Marva Collins to you. I would hold each and every one of your faces in my hand, and I would tell you how brilliant you are and how amazing you are and how much I believe that you can do this, because I do with every fiber of my being. I'm not here telling you and giving you hype. I'm here telling you I believe in you, because I know who created you in my eyes and in my belief. And I know you were not created for mediocrity. You were not created to have this life while somebody else gets to have this life. You were all created for greatness, and you were all created for a bigger reason and a purpose than what you even can possibly imagine or guess or even see in your wildest dreams. But I see it. Your leaders see it. We all want to hold your face in our hands and tell you we believe this truth about you. And the sooner you believe it yourself, the sooner you're going to see it and start having the life that we know is waiting for you. You just have to choose to have belief. You have to choose to have faith in what it is that we do in this business. And because we've seen it happen, you guys, we have evidence. The reason we believe so much is there's evidence of other people who were told that they were not going to be anything in this world, or that they could only do this and have this and be this in their world. And we helped them come into Arbonne and into this system that builds belief. And they believed in themselves as much as we did, and even more probably than we did, because that's what's really important, is you believing more than we do. And anyone else, everyone else cannot believe you can do this. You can believe you can, and you can. Everyone else can believe you can believe you can't, and you won't. That's how simple it is. And you are the one that's in control and has that power. But you are brilliant, and you have everything you need to do this. And we've seen it over and over and over again. There's no reason it can't happen for you if it's happened for me, and it's happened for everybody else who's come into this business. So just believe it and act and continue to grow and build the muscle, the mind muscle that you have to be able to work through the learning experiences that we get in this business that we call, failures. He says, living proof of a positive leader, of people who believed in them and an optimistic future, was Marva Collins, because those people, those kids were told had learning disabilities, or because of their environment, their families, their background, that they would become nothing, or teachers and lawyers and all of these wonderful things. That's what Arbonne does for people, you guys. Arbonne is the vehicle, but you have to be the Marva Collins. You have to be the Marva Collins for your team and for the people that God has put in your life and has put you in connection with. I would love to help everybody in this world, but I need you to help me help them, because I don't have the relationship with people that other people have. and that you have with those other people. And so they're not going to believe and let Arbonne be the vehicle. You have to be Marva Collins. So can you be Marva Collins? Because it means you have to believe in people. But to believe in people, you first have to believe in yourself. So that's the work we all are doing, is believing in ourselves so much that we have enough extra belief to help others believe in themselves too. We play the game, believe it and you'll see it. So this other story talks about, it only takes, he had 350 people and he fired 300 of the people in the company of the Campbell Soup Company when it was going down, and they were able to turn that company around again. You can't get fired, you guys. You just have to believe it and start doing what it is that we do to believe it. The great news is, he says, is that you can cultivate belief in your team and you can become a more positive leader. So he says, if you're not naturally positive like he was, just like we've been saying, you can become positive. He said, it just depends on which dog you feed. Do you feed the positive dog or do you feed the negative dog? And he says, if you feed the positive dog, and we all have, he says, every creature has a positive and a negative dog. And every creature has to fight the negative dog, because they're going to be fighting each other all the time. The negative dog is going to want to beat the positive dog. So the positive dog has to be the one that wins. And the only way they win is it's the one we feed. We're feeding it right now, you guys. We're feeding it by being in this book, reading this book, being in this book club, and hearing, even more belief poured into you for this industry and this company specifically. You're feeding your positive dog. And we all have to do that in order to be able to fight the negative dog. So he says, to push past the negative things that happen, the no-shows, the no responses, people ghosting you, people talking about you, ridiculing you. Those are all the negative things. You've got to overfeed the positive to be able to stay here and stay on purpose. He says you have to do that by talking to yourself. And if you talk to yourself, he says, we've heard this so many times in all these books from successful people, guys. So what do we need to do? We need to start talking to yourself. If you're talking to yourself, you can say, oh my gosh, I'm doing what successful people do. I'm going to be okay because I'm doing what they've done. And he says he learned to talk to himself instead of listening to himself. He said he memorized scripture. If you're a believer or whatever positive and incentives you give yourself, that's where you go get it. But you've got to feed yourself something. I love scripture because I know it's my truth, and my truth doesn't lie. So if I'm reading the scripture that tell me this is what's going to happen and I believe it, it's all based on belief, then I know I am on the right course and I just have to keep staying there. Just like Arbonne people. Do you believe you're Arbonne people? If you believe us, if you think I'm believable, if you're not thinking I'm full of it and that I don't know what I'm talking about, then you can believe me and it can be what you choose to believe because you have belief in me, and that must mean it's truth. And if I say it, it's going to happen. And if you go do the things we're talking about, it can happen for you too. Your belief builds. But again, you've got to be that for your team. He says, if he listened to all the reasons why he should give up, that he was too tired, too old, too weak to make it. But he says, when I talk to myself, I give myself encouragement. Do you give yourself encouragement, you guys? Do you know how to give yourself encouragement? You know what? It's not false. It's not, some people feel silly. It's because you don't know how to do this. You haven't had people tell you it's okay to tell yourself you're great. Some people may be thinking that it sounds prideful or like that you're being, what is the word? I don't know. There's words that talk about like you're full of yourself, It's okay to be full of yourself. If you're not full of yourself, you can't help other people be full of themselves and know your truth. What you believe about you is your truth. And if you're not full of yourself and thinking good things about yourself, then you're going to be telling your world out there that you're not worth anything. And your world isn't going to follow somebody who doesn't think they are worth much and will do much with their life. They're going to follow somebody who influences them in a way that inspires them to believe in themselves more because you believe in yourself more. So we have to believe in ourselves. We got to be full of ourselves a little bit so that we can give ourselves encouragement and tell ourselves how great and wonderful we are. because we are. We are. And we were created to be great. So go around and say, I mean, I used to say all the time that I wanted to be the girl or guy that walked in a room, no matter what, but in an Arbonne room, especially, and not even an Arbonne room, in any room, and just walk in and have people notice me. Again, does that sound full of myself? Probably. I wanted people to notice me and go, hey, I have no idea what that girl has, but I want it. It's inspiring, you guys, for people to see people that believe in themselves, because this world is full of people who don't believe. You know, to walk around proud. Maybe you're not at the health goal you want to be, but you know what? You're proud. You're working on it. You're proud of your progress. You're no longer the perfectionist that is having to be perfect before you feel worthy of giving yourself to the world. You're proud of yourself, and you know you're going to make a bigger difference by giving yourself, the imperfect you, the imperfect me, the world, and still being proud of it. You know that's what is best. It's like those kids that weren't perfect in Marva Collins' class. They're not perfect, but can you be proud of who you are? I was a junkyard babe, but can you be proud of who you are because of how you work and how you act? There's things to be proud of. And so giving the world somebody who just is so confident and full of themselves and believes in themselves and walks in a room and commands an attention that lights up a room, even though people see your imperfections, what they see more and what shines brighter is how proud you are of you. Because you and only you know how much progress you have made. Do you know that's the big difference that we get to make? That's the goal. It's not perfection. It's just being proud of our progress and knowing that we're on our way to more of who we were created to be. And that is what's going to help other people come to you, because you don't judge them because they're not perfect. They feel good in your presence because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect, but we're great. We are great, you guys. This group is amazing. We're not perfect. We're not anywhere close to where we are going to be and where we can be, but we're on our way. And that is what people are going to be attracted to. They're not going to be attracted to people that are perfect. They're going to be attracted to people who are making progress and are proud of it. So, he says, just because you have a negative thought doesn't mean you have to believe it. So it's a choice, you guys. And that's the mind muscle that we are building and that we have to build. But the stronger and faster you build it, the quicker you recognize the negative thoughts, the faster you stop them, the more equipped you are to replace them with the positive thoughts. You can't just stop a negative thought because you're just going to stay where you are. The way you make progress down the field and down the goal to your goal line on a football field or on this field that you're playing, this Arbonne field that you're playing, here you are, here is the goal. The way you're going to make progress is not just stop a negative thought, but replace it with a positive thought. Do you have scripture or positive things that you tell yourself whenever you hear those negative thoughts come up that are automatically there to immediately replace the negative thought and move you further down the road, because you're going to go prove to everyone that you can do it? It's all how you see it. Perspective is everything, you guys. They talk about baseball being a game of failure when in reality it's a game of opportunity. And every strike, every failure, everything, negative thing that happens to you in your business is one step closer. I used to always think every time I would get a no and I didn't feel like getting another phone call on and done, I would tell myself, but you know what? The next phone call could be my next MVP. The next phone call. And I just always told myself that, you guys, the next action I take in my business could get me my next ace. I still believe that 16 plus years later. I still have negative things happen in my business with the action that I take that don't give me the perfect results that I want. But I always think, but you know what? The next action I take is going to get me where I want to go. And I believe that. I don't believe the next action I take is just going to get me the same results. And so why take another action? Or take the action, but expect those same negative results. Guess what you're going to get? Those same negative results. Do you expect to get the next right thing in your business, because it is determining what you get. You determine what you get. And I can't tell you your next one's going to be the positive one, but I can tell you you're going to find your positive one as long as you continue to believe your next one is going to be your positive. Same with your team, you guys. You're a leader of a team. You may be a team of one right now, but you're leading yourself. But if you have anybody else on your team, you guys, can I tell you that if you stop believing in your team, because this person quit. People quit in this business. We have the highest quitting rate of anything out there in the world, but people quit everything. But this has a high quit rate. You need to know that people are going to quit. Expect it. It talks about expecting the failures in your business. And so what happens though to leaders that don't stay positive, optimistic, and continue to believe in this business and this process and the system is you start expecting that the next person on your team is going to do the same thing the other person on your team did. I don't believe that. I've had a lot of duds in my business. I've had a lot of people quit that could have been successful, but they were quitters, period, quitters. But what I will tell you is I never quit believing in you, those people that are here with me, that are working with me and growing with me. And I never quit believing there's more people out there like us. And I never quit believing that the best consultant, as good as we have, and we have the best in the world in this company, the best one has yet to be found. And I'm looking for him. That's who I'm looking for. So you guys, that's what we have to do, because as leaders, this is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make in their leadership role is you quit believing in other people because somebody chose to quit. And that, you guys, quite honestly, just pisses me off, because it's not fair and it is wrong, and you are messing with somebody else's belief, their life, their opportunity to make a difference in this world for what I believe is their Heavenly Father. And how dare you mess with somebody else's life like that? Because you were not Marva Collins to them. You took their face in your hand and you said, you know what? You could do this, but you're probably not. Because the last people that I've had in this business are quitters. This business has a high quit rate, and you're probably going to quit just like them. But you know what? Let's go try. You guys, that's what you do as a leader. When you put your belief of somebody else's quitting on the people that you have in your team right now that may not be moving at your pace, but they're moving and they're here and they have not quit on you. So don't you dare quit on them. That's being a positive leader. And if you're not doing that, that's why your team's not growing, because you're not creating the environment that they need to be able to grow in. He says, tell yourself the positive story. And he says, those that see themselves as victims, stay down. And those, if you're not believing in yourself and your team and others, you're a victim. He says, but those who see themselves as heroes, get back up, armed with optimism, courage, and faith. They move forward. They take action to create a brighter and better future. You guys, Arbonne is full of heroes. The people, I have chills, you guys. I have chills. We have heroes. We are surrounded by heroes. And you are learning how to be a hero by having and choosing optimism, courage, and faith to keep moving forward and to take action to create a brighter future and believe others can too. The story we tell ourselves determines the life we get to live, you guys. What story are you telling yourself? You determine how well your life turns out. And you're either going to create the cycle, a new cycle, or you can break a cycle. If you have a good success cycle going, just keep repeating it. Keep doing what you've been taught to do. I kind of like to think my kids have been set up for a great success cycle. They just need to repeat it. You guys are like my kids. You've got a great success cycle. This organization is full of success. We're surrounded by it. We've created it. And you have the opportunity to be able to continue in this cycle that has been set up and is continue to work for you and to get better for you. He says, no, she was talking about family. Okay. So just remind yourself of who you are. It says, in every story, the main character wants to achieve something and must overcome adversity and conflict in order to get it. Those who study life know it works the same way. Whether you want to start a business, build a winning team, raise great kids, provide safe drinking water in Africa, find a home, help the homeless, find a cure for cancer, educate children, or create a more peaceful world, adversity and conflict will be a part of your story as you strive to achieve your goal. But when adversity hits, you can choose to tell yourself the world a positive story and work passionately to create the outcome that you want. So it really is all choice. And everybody that is successful, you guys, we didn't have it perfect. That's what the next section talks about, challenge or opportunity. Every person that is successful has gotten there through challenges and not the misfortune. But he says, it seemed on the outside they'd lived perfect lives, but every one of them faced challenges, adversity, and hardships. And despite the challenges, they all shared the same characteristic. They turned their misfortune into fortune. They looked for and found opportunity in their hard and in their challenges. He says, your job is to not get stuck in the mud. Don't sink to a lower level. Keep your head up and look for opportunity in the good that is coming your way. He says, somehow the worst event in our lives often leads to the best if we stay positive, stay the course, and keep moving forward. And you guys, I have to tell you a quick little story. I have a sister, a younger sister, who is amazing. She is not the pastor of a church, but she basically runs the church, and she does a beautiful job. But can I tell you that the only reason that she does that today, and she has the faith that she has today, is because she was put in prison a few years ago, several years ago now. And she was in prison for almost 18 months. And it was there in her challenge, in the hardest time of her life, that she got the greatest gift that she has today to live out the bigger and better purpose that God had planned for her life. If it hadn't happened, you guys, if she hadn't gotten pulled out of her life and put in a place where there were just four walls and all she had to do was work to get better herself, she wouldn't have gotten where she is today. And she will even tell you, she left a 6 and a 12-year-old daughter at home alone. I mean, we were all there, but she left them at home. And she would still tell you, because no mother would ever want to do that and would have huge regret for it. But she tells you she wouldn't have missed that time in her life for anything. That is how a challenge can be a gift, but it's perspective. It's how you look at it. So, are you a shark or are you a goldfish, you guys? Because goldfish wait to be fed, sharks go and look for an opportunity to eat. And he says that what happens is that waves of change come. You guys, our world is changing at a rapid pace. I mean, you better have some running shoes on to keep up. And if we don't keep up and stay innovative and relevant and not fight wanting to go back to the good old days that he talks about, then we are going to struggle in this business. He says we can resist change or we can ride the wave to a successful future. And he says the research shows that people and companies that thrive during the recessions were the ones that embrace the change. Instead of being a goldfish and waiting to be fed like the good old days, they embraced change and looked for opportunities to find more food. And the key factor to their success was their perspective. And those who saw it as a bad thing resisted it and got crushed by the wave. Those who saw it as a good thing and an opportunity rode the wave to a better future. And you guys, think about the things that come our way. Are we resistant or do we embrace it? And are we going to ride the wave to the next great thing that's coming in this business? Or are we going to get crushed by the wave? Because that's what happens. And it's all mindset. You're either wanting it to be the good old days. I was listening to John Maxwell this week and he talked about yesterday. He goes, I'm not a yesterday kind of guy. He says, if yesterday, because it's over, you know, it's like Rita Davenport used to say, yesterday is a canceled check. Tomorrow is a promissory note. Today is the only real tender that we have. Maxwell says yesterday was gone. If it was a bad day, yay, check, it's over with. If it was a good day, get over it. It's over. And he says, if you are still living in yesterday, It's because you're not doing anything too exciting today. And you guys, that's what so many people do. Again, leadership. So many leaders ride on what we did yesterday instead of being and making today a great day and using the real tinder that we have to make a difference with the world that we've been given. You guys, we have to let yesterday be a canceled check no matter what. And we have to make history today. He says, you're either teaching history of what you did or you're making history. And he says, people that are, positive, forward-thinking people make history today. They're not talking about their history. So be a history maker, not a history teacher. He says, think like a rookie. We need it, as much as I'm saying we can't live in yesterday, we need to be the rookie in this business every day. We need to stay away from what he calls the curse of experience. It's just like looking at people and saying, yeah, the experience I've had tells me people quit in this business, and so you're going to quit. That's the curse of the experience. We're avoiding the curse by staying in the belief mode. This is the belief mode that we have to be in. He says, because if they long for the good old days and complain about the way things are today and are unwilling to change, then we are going to struggle with riding the wave, and we're going to end up getting crushed by the wave. So you guys, I want to read this page 58, you guys. If you haven't read this book, it's powerful. He says, before his talk, companies often give out rewards to the best producers. And he said, I realized there were a lot of rookies who were winning awards. Who do we see winning awards in today's? It's the millennials. It's those new kids that have come in and have done this, MVP in 7 months. Peyton Scheidner, who's a 3-wide MVP, and I think she might be 22. You guys, those are the kids. Those are the rookies in Arbonne today. And those are the ones that are winning these awards, the #1 parade champions, the top sponsors. We have those people. Jill Lyons is a newbie. I mean, if you're on here, Jill, you're a rookie and you are winning awards. And it's because you don't have the curse of the past, the curse of the experience that he talks about. He says it hit him that many of the veterans with all their great experience were shaken up by the economy and had become goldfish instead of sharks. The rookies are the sharks, you guys. Are you still a shark, or have you become a goldfish, longing for the good old days and remembering how great it was when I got my car sometime? I don't remember when that was, because it was yesterday. It's over. Yeah, you drive a nice car, but what are you doing today to keep a car? More importantly, what are you doing today to help somebody else drive a white car? That's what you need to worry about. He says they had allowed fear to paralyze them, circumstances to define them, and they were complaining about the economy instead of creating it. They had the curse of the experience, and the antidote was to get them to think like rookies again. Rookies aren't tainted by rejection, negative assumptions, or past experiences. They bring idealism, optimism, and passion into their work. They don't focus on what everyone says is impossible. Instead, with wide eyes, they believe anything is possible. Rookies put their heads down, they work hard, they stay positive, they live fearlessly, and are naive enough to be successful. Rookies don't have experience. They don't know about the way things were. They have no knowledge of the good old days, unless, you guys, you're telling them. And you telling them is what they believe. Whether you tell them negative or positive, they believe you. And like I said, you can be telling them negative, but positive, but if you believe negative, that's what they're going to feel. You're going to get negative results with your rookie, where somebody else will get positive results with their rookie. They have no knowledge of the good old days. Instead, rookies create their good old days right now. Regardless of how much experience you and your fellow leaders have, he says, I want to encourage you to let your experience be a blessing, not a curse. Let your experience, listen to this, you guys, especially my experienced people that have been here. Rookies, keep doing what you're doing. Experienced people, listen up. As Charles Stanley would say amen. Okay? Listen. Let your experience provide you with expertise, and let your rookie mindset fuel you with optimism and passion. Mentor the rookies, because for all their effort and energy, they do make mistakes. You guys, rookies are going to make mistakes. You've got the expertise to help them through it. If you can keep The rookie mindset with your expertise, you make an amazing leader. But if you have expertise with the curse of the experience, you're going to be a stumbling block for everyone in your way and in your path and everyone who's watching you. So you have to make the choice. You have to take the experience and believe so that we can help our rookies who have this belief continue to believe, but also do it better. That's what we as experienced leaders, experienced positive leaders, get the chance to make. And yet, he says, let them teach you how to see the world through their eyes. Think like a rookie, forget the past, create your own good old days right now. Cecilia Stoll talks about how when Peyton came into this business, her upline MVP, Christy Moses, who is direct to Cecilia, was freaking out because Peyton was doing it different. Christy was stuck in the old times, and this, not now, but in that time, she was fearful because she was in the good old days and not innovative, not growing, not open to watching with discernment and seeing does something different than what I did to build this business work to still build this business today. And so she was freaking out, and she was telling Cecilia, oh my gosh, she's not doing it right. And Cecilia looked at Peyton's numbers and she said, well, she has 30,000 in her central district. I think she's doing something right. And she had the ability to let and see Peyton's rookie enthusiasm and her ability to innovate in the way that she needed to still build this business and help Christy see that we don't have to stay in the good old days to still have success. We can create our good old days today. And that's what they have done and have learned how to do. Murphy's Law, you guys, is that something bad's going to happen. He says, expect to see Murphy, and then you'll be prepared for him. But you'll be able to go, oh, yeah, I knew you were coming. And you'll talk to yourself and tell yourself what you need to hear to overcome the struggle and get stronger when the world gets harder. He says, because we can become stronger when the world becomes harder. So when adversity hits, don't run from it. Don't be scared of it. Face it. Take it on. Keep moving forward. Murphy is tough, but you're tougher. You're tougher. Sorry, I got a phone call. Inside out, success is an inside job, you guys. And remember, it's never about the experience. It's not the challenge, the change, adversity. It's always your state of mind and how you feel and how you respond. When you see the world has no power over you, you will lead more powerfully in this world. Who has power over you, you guys? Make a note. Be prepared for Murphy. They're the Murphy in your life that can take you off your path. Who are the people that hit you and knock you off your path a little bit? Make a note so that you're ready for them and that you know and you're prepared, that you don't even have to say anything to them, but you need to talk to yourself after you've had an experience with them so that you can replace the negative with positive and not just, delete it, but replace it. Okay. He says, distort your reality in a positive way because we can, and we can distort our reality positively. Leadership is just a transfer of belief. It is what you believe is possible, and the beliefs you share with your team and an organization have a big influence on what you create, build, and accomplish. And we've talked about that's why some create a lot and some struggle to create anything because they don't have the belief. And you may be training your world to be a pessimistic, realistic player in this business, just like you are. And that's what you're going to build a team of. And that team is not going to win in this world. So we have to stay positive. He talked about Silicon Valley having, accepting failure as just part of their process to anything great, because anything that you are doing that is going to be innovative and growth is going to take some failure. You're going to have to be bad before you're good, good before you're great, and great before you're successful. So we got to just be willing to go through the process. And then on page 63, you guys, he talks about leading with faith over fear. And you guys, I've always said I wish I got to share this with my sweet daughter-in-law last night, and even Lindsay this week, because they're sweet enough and patient enough to sit and listen to me. But I got to share about how my whole success story of my life, you guys, from the time that I was a kid in high school, going to college, having to choose faith over fear to break a cycle in a family that had never gone to college, didn't know how to get me to college or help me financially at all in college. I had to have faith over fear at that point. And every point in my life since then that has taken me to the next mile marker in my life has been because I chose faith over fear. And I wish I could tell you the whole story and give you the vision of what God really wants, what I believe God really wants you to have for your life. And if we choose fear and we stay in our fearful state and don't move and fly through the doors that he's flung open for us, we're not going to get to live our best life. We're going to live the life that fear tells us we can live, that fear dictates you will have, because it's going to be a really tiny life. And it's going to be harder. You think you're staying in your comfort zone, but that comfort zone being this big gets really hard in life over the years, because you run into the wall of a comfort zone because fear kept you here. The more you push back on those walls and expand your comfort zone because you choose faith. And when you chose faith and you jumped, you saw you landed on something. You landed on something that was solid and helped launch you to the next thing. And that's my life. It's launched and launched and launched. And every time, if I had not chosen faith over fear, it would have never gotten me where I am here today. And I'm still moving. I'm still looking for the next launching pad. So he says, be an overbeliever. Be so full of genuine belief and faith that he shares it with everyone around him, and he believes in his players, and that's how we are. And then the other thing that you guys, that I saw in here that says, oh, I'm doing the right thing, is on page 65. And he says that, Dabo, who was the coach of the Clemson team that he's talking about on page 65, says that he would tell himself and his team that God doesn't say, oops, God doesn't make mistakes. He says there is a bigger plan. Trust in it. Faith over fear, you guys. And he says that Dabo told him that he was constantly inspired by the scripture, the verse, Galatians 6:9. You guys, if you don't know it, that's what I say all the time. That's my life verse. That's what I live my life and what I revert back to when I get hit, whenever I have hard things happen, whenever I have negative things happen, when I just get tired and weary because I have given it my all every day and I want to quit and not do the next thing that I know I should do, I go back to Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest. Not maybe, we will. This is my truth. I believe this. If you believe in whatever truth you believe in and it tells you this, believe it. I believe I will reap a harvest if I do not give up. And it gets me back up. And it gets me back on the fight no matter what happened, because I am not going to grow weary. Lindsay used to tell me that when Blake Nelson, my son, who I love dearly, but is just like me, and he and I were the ones that battled. And I would get so tired because he could wear me down quicker than anybody. And Lindsay would whisper in my ear, Mom, do not grow weary. Do not grow weary. I mean, she was a little girl and she knew that this is what we had taught ourselves. And so sometimes I had to be reminded of my own truth. Do not grow weary. So if you need to borrow that and use that, it's yours to use. It's not mine. You can take Galatians 6:9. He did it. I'm doing it because it works. He says it does. He led with faith in his team, acted with fearlessness, and reaped a harvest at the proper time. And you will too when you don't grow weary in doing good. Don't stop believing, you guys. And he says, your leadership is a journey. It's not about what you do, but what you can inspire, encourage, and empower others to do. One is not a number that leads to greatness, you guys. Leading others to greatness is what's going to help you be great. And when you can help people that you don't even know you helped, that is when you know you're on the right path. That's when you know you're tapping into the potential that you have. Your face is in my hand. You have the potential to help people you won't even know you helped when you continue to believe in you the way I believe in you and your leaders believe in you. But you have to believe it too. You have to believe with me. So let's go. That's what's going to help us change this world, you guys. And your influence has the ability to reach far beyond anything you can imagine, guess, or request in your wildest dreams. And it is, I believe with all my heart, the plan that he has for each and every one of you and me, which is why you're here. Not everyone gets to know about Arbonne. Not everyone gets to understand the power of the network marketing industry. Cecilia Stoll says 12 is a good number because that's how many disciples Jesus had. And look at the difference he made in this world. You guys, we have a vehicle that has the ability to reach the world. That is the power you have. And I believe when you believe that you will do it. So I love you. I don't know if you guys want to share what you got out of this book, but I'm sorry. I had all that to share with you because it was amazing and so inspiring for me to know we're doing the right stuff. We're on the right track to get successful. And I'm as excited to share it with you guys. So anybody have any other comments or things that you want to share out of this chapter?
It was definitely amazing, Carlita. I loved it too. And of course, the scripture that was big. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the verse. Do not grow weary. There it is.
I know.
I was thinking, Carlita, it's in a book.
It's in a book.
So, it's in another book.
Yeah. I love it, Krista. You work hard. Take care of yourself.
I was just thinking, as I read the book, but then also just listening to you talk, it's funny because to all the young moms out there, or to the people that maybe don't have children yet, it is crazy how ingrained the Arbonne mindset gets in you. Like, you don't even, I just was laughing this entire time inside. You don't even understand how it just becomes who your family is until, we read a book like this and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if you've even read this book, but every principle that he talks about is what we have been taught. And I call myself as an Arbonne child growing up with my mom as she was working on that mindset herself. But then even today as a consultant. So I can imagine that there is a fight to have to work to be part, like a true fight that maybe I don't even understand because I was blessed enough to grow up in this world. So if you are, like I see Caitlin Foreman on here, if you are a mom with young babies, fight that good fight for you, but also for your family, because you are changing cycles. Like, we are truly changing success cycles. And it doesn't matter if you're maybe 50, 60 sitting on this call thinking, oh, well, this is my first time, to encounter this kind of mindset. It doesn't matter. No one is too old to change and to create, or like you were saying, Mom, live your best life. But the biggest thing to me, probably, as someone who's been here a while, not just in the business, but as a regional vice president for a while, and I was talking to a consultant last night. In fact, she probably knows who she is on this call, and she texted me because she has a new girl getting started, and she said, please help me help her get started strong, because I'm not super successful at that. I don't have the track record. And it just made me think, like, we can so easily, and I wanted to say, like, I don't know the right word, like, we can be not tricked into that mindset, but you can so easily sink back into, but I've never helped someone go area, or I'm only a district, or I've just stayed, a regional vice president. You can so easily not even know you're thinking that, like subconsciously be thinking that you have to be so captive of every single thought that you are thinking. And that one kind of hit me like, you don't even probably know you think it, but this consultant said it. And I'm like, gosh, we just have to be so aware versus being a little bit down whenever we get someone new, because we think, oh gosh, but I've never helped someone. Be excited to know I've got the system. Like, this is gonna be amazing. This is my next MVP. So I don't know, that was like the biggest, whoa, how easily we can think those thoughts at whatever level. I'm a nation that's never promoted a nation. I'm a region that's never promoted, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it can be at any level, but especially in the consultant district level, the new mindset kind of thing. So I don't know, I just love this book, and I think it's funny how my entire life has been shaped off of this mindset.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I just
Carlita?
said, I saw you unmute, Beth. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I was trying to unmute and then somebody tried calling me.
Mhm.
I'm sorry I can't see my face because I'm still getting dressed.
Okay. I'm glad you're not exposing yourself.
But I just wanted to say, you guys know I love this book. I'm so excited for everybody to even get deeper into this book because we're going to get so much more of that confirmation. But he's just got some incredible ideas that I implemented into my business last summer when I read this book. So I'm so excited. But one of the things I just wanted to comment on was something you said, Carlita, and that really hit me. And I know we say things like this all the time. And I know you said, I apologize for being harsh, but I don't think it's harsh at all, because if it was when you said, like when they talk about in the chapter about firing people, because we can't fire people, but if we're not willing to personally grow, if we're not willing to change that, we might as well go get a job. And I think that that's just truth. Like, I think that's speaking truth over people, because that's the reality. Like, that's the reality of, growth in my life. I wouldn't be here today had I not been willing to attach myself to you and go to NTC when you said that's where I should be, and read the books as soon as someone gifted them to me. Like, I just wouldn't be here today. And I'm so forever grateful for that kind of truth spoken over my life back then and spoken over my life today. So I thank you for today, and thank you for this chapter. I just love this book, but I love getting able to hear from you. And thank you for sharing that. Because guys, I think we need to be honest with people. I think we need to tell people that. Obviously, we're telling them out of love because we want them to be in our business. So it's not like if we're honest and tell people, like, I can't help you if you're not willing to grow you. And I so desperately want to help you, but you have to be willing to do that. And I just think that was a truth that everyone needs to hear. So thank you. Love you.
You're welcome. I love you too, honey. And you guys, it's just like, when people are afraid to tell people that, you need to plug into these things and stuff. You guys, honestly, I'm afraid to not tell them, because I know if they don't start growing their mind and getting positive, they're going to die in this business. I say plug in or die. And so what? It's on Saturday morning. You've got to. If you want this to work, you've got to do this. And if I say that with enough belief, guess what? People get on these calls and they go, okay, I want this. She told me I have to do it. It's just like Martha telling me I had to go to GTC. But ask yourself as a leader, do you say that to your team? Are you afraid because you don't believe, and you tell them, oh, all we need to do is go do, talk to some people and help 8 find 2. And that's it. That's all we do. That's how simple this is. It isn't. Because if you don't plug in and grow and get your mind under control and hear what it takes to really do this, even if you don't know how, okay, it's all right. I heard today on this call, this one call, I can fail. I can hear no's. I can do all this, but I can still get successful because I'm learning, and I'm now given and have provided for me what I need to be able to stay positive in my thoughts and believe that this is still going to work for me, even though these things happen. This is one chapter today that a brand new person would have gotten, and it's vital for their survival. So we can't candy coat this. I've never been a candy coater. I'm never going to be a candy coater. I'm never going to apologize for having the bar set here and never, ever being willing to lower the bar. And if you want to live in a low bar, you might as well go get a job. And that's just truth, like Beth said, because I love you. It's truth and mercy. I think there was some mercy in there. So, anyone else? If they choose not to, you guys, that's their choice, but at least you helped them know they need to. Okay, well, we will end this call and we will be ready for next week's